Is brought to you by our friends over at Brilliant, who are by far the best way to learn math, data science, and computer science interactively in a fun way at your own pace. New lessons are added every single month, and regardless of what your skill level is, whether you're all the way at the beginning or you have actual experience in your field, Brilliant customizes content to fit your needs and solve at your own pace. Me, when it comes to YouTube, I have to look at analytics a lot, and for me, learning things like data science and how data interacts with each other allows me to better optimize my channel and learn exactly what you guys want and how to make my content better in a very, very mathematical way. And no matter what, I know that I'll at least be having fun instead of just reading through paragraphs in a textbook the entire time. So if you want to learn anything in this field, anything math related, computer science related, data science related, Brilliant has thousands of lessons for you to choose from. If any of this interests you, then make sure to go to our link in the description below, brilliant.org/SOG. Ladies and gentlemen, that is brilliant.org/SOG. And that'll get you started free for 30 days. And if you're the first 200 people to go, that'll get you 20% off an annual plan. Ladies and gentlemen, that is brilliant.org/SOG. That said, let's go to the video. Hello guys and gals, me Mudahar, and today we're taking a look at viruses, malware. And ladies and gentlemen, I have a cyber nuke, a cyber bomba, so to speak, sitting on my computer. Now you might be wondering, well Muda, what are you doing with a cyber demolition device? Ladies and gentlemen, I bought this for $500. Now you might be wondering, whoa, where'd you buy this for $500? So to give you an idea, this is a group known as VX Underground. You probably have heard of them a fair bit. I've talked about them on my channel a couple times. They're friends of the channel. And of course, they were selling this drive for $500. The reason I paid $500 was because A, I wanted to give these guys some support, and B, I wanted to have all of the malware samples and viruses and nasty devices that can destroy computers, ruin businesses, ruin marriages even, sitting on my desk right here. Now, as you can see, this is plugged in, ready to go, and we're going to go exploring for some of the darkest malware sitting on here. So to give you an idea, anytime I do things like virus investigations or I look at a virus, I have to go through repositories of actual malware samples. Some of these repositories are not publicly available, simply because if you were to give out samples to every Tom, Dick, and Harry, there would be a lot of angry people sitting on their desk, okay? Because they unwillingly ran a virus and their computer got destroyed, or files got stolen, or they got ransomed without realizing. But of course, VX Underground assumes that people coming over here have some level of intellect, and they definitely have a lot of disclaimers present. And I should also add a disclaimer. If you are going to buy something like this, or hell, download any sample off of the internet that is actual malware, that is on you, okay? What you do on the internet is not, we are not legally liable for whatever dumb stuff you do. The only person that we're legally liable for who does dumb stuff on the internet is me, okay? So VX Underground sent this box to me, which was a Western Digital 8TB Easy Store desktop HDD. Now, I think I paid for the 8TB or 10. Not that I'm going to go out of my way to complain about it. I got what I paid for. They gave me a little letter over here, which I'm going to scan and show you on the screen as we read. Hello, thank you for purchasing the VX Underground Complete Collection. We appreciate your support and we hope you enjoy the contents of the drive. I will. Please exercise extreme caution with this external device. Though this drive contains white papers on the development, reverse engineering, and detection of malware, it also contains a large quantity of malicious binaries which will cause damage to your computer. The malicious binaries on this device are diverse and contains things such as malicious Microsoft Office documents, malicious binaries like data stealers, ransomware loaders, spyware. The malicious binaries are not exclusive to Windows malware. It includes Linux malware, Mac OS malware, yeah, that exists, Android OS malware, and more exotic malware. Malware which targets chastity belts. So you might be like, whoa, Muda, are you going to be careful running this? Look, I'm a stupid person, but if it's one thing I'm smart at is my computer stuff. So we are going to go walk into this with some severe caution. To understand, some of the samples here are not going to be protected by methods that I've been routinely using on my channel. So here they list that they got 34,599 advanced persistent threat samples dating back to pre-2010. They've got 107 malware builders. The complete Conti links, which are their internal conversations, tools, etc.,
11,596 papers on malware development, and 5.13 terabytes of malicious binaries. So yeah, in between all of it, they've got things like the Twitter IOC collection, which are 40,000 binaries that were found on Twitter of all places. They've got the In the Wild collection, which is 1.9 million binaries they've gotten from online scraping. And of course, they've signed here Little Cheeser and Smelly VX. Well, thank you guys for your autographs. And thank you for sending this one over. It took a little bit to get here, but thank God I have this drive. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to be a little bit careful and open up this drive and explore this together. So I've got a Sandbox Linux platform, and if you look right here, you can see this Easy Store link. We're going to hit yes on that. I hear the drive burring up a little bit. Here it is. Woo! So this drive is so new. They've got install Western Digital software for Windows. Yeah, we're going to get rid of that dog shit right there. And first things first, I actually want to see what this consists of. So if I go to Properties, this is NTFS, so it's obviously formatted for Windows. It's filled with up to 7.3, actually, they've got around 5-something terabytes, so it's actually calculating right here, 5.1 terabytes. It's a total 7.3 terabyte file size, or drive space. And we've got 2.1 terabytes free. So if you wanted some extra storage, I guess they've got it in there. So first things first, they've got 5 folders: APTs, archive, malware source code collections, papers, and samples. So if you open up the samples, you can see that they've got them all segregated by the Twitter IOC collection, In the Wild, virus share. So if you go to Twitter IOC, you can see that these are highly compressed folders, and opening one of them, they give you, here's the password. So the password should be infected. And of course, you can see all of these samples even further compressed down this list. They're not necessarily that big. We're looking at like a couple megabytes at most, and some of them are sitting in the kilobytes. They are ultra compressed, so to understand, these are just, again, millions of malware sitting over here waiting to be used. So beyond all of these malware samples, they've obviously got technical write-ups for things like the Mirai botnet. For anybody that was interested in understanding how that works, or any form of research onto it, well, this is an entire drive filled with all kinds of technical write-ups, so if you were interested in learning, you can obviously look through this. Not that that information isn't available freely to download as well too, but this is all part of this collection. So it's not just filled with malware samples, it's filled with some educational material. So for anybody that wants to learn stuff, you can start off figuring out things from here, right? Or at least if you're interested in the technical makeup of things. Yeah, look at this. If you wanted to learn like abusing Notepad plugins, well, they've got entire papers for you to sit down and read. So if you're somebody that's interested by this topic, this is like a pretty good learning. This is just a good resource to have sitting around. But of course, from what I understand, you can just download these anyway, so you don't need to spend all this money to get a drive. This is just me being me. So right here, malware source code. So for instance, if you want to look at source codes for certain pieces of malware, you have them all right over here, so you can just pop one open and learn the intricacies and the nitty-gritty of how certain things are made. So all these MS-DOS viruses, you can start reading up on how things work. Now, this is assembly code. This is source code for some of the malware. This specifically is Canab2, which this is written in assembly code. So again, if you're looking at it very low level, DOS assembly stuff right here. So if this interests you, there are actually channels that'll explain how to do this. One of my favorites is Route 42. Another one is John Hammond to explain how convoluted this can get. Programming Hello World is a 15-minute video. This malware itself, and back then for DOS malwares, this is what their source codes used to look like. Of course, if this interests you, you can look through how some of these old ancient viruses worked, peek at the actual guts, and see what it took to execute them, and generally what exploits that they were taking advantage of at the time. So again, this is just DOS source code. There's obviously far more intricate malwares to look through here. But again, if this interests you, feel free to play around with the source code, maybe even compile it, see if you can run it for yourself. Do what you want. The world is your oyster. Again, please play responsibly. Some of this stuff, while it can't damage you, all right, again, some of the more higher level viruses that you're looking around, which some of them are still used today in some variant, you probably want to be a bit careful with. What's actually even wild too is they've got like actual legal briefs on two massive organizations like Revel and Raid Forums. So if you wanted to read like federal indictments, motions to seal, all of it is actually available right over here. Not that I think I can show some of these. They might be publicly available, but they probably contain some serious personal information, and I probably don't want to be diving too deep into them.
Conti, for those of you who have no idea, was a Russian hacker group that primarily specialized in the ransomware as a service category. We've looked at this before, and what these people have done is use the double extortion technique. So basically, ask a ransom from an organization that they would hack by, again, encrypting their data, and then also stealing it and then selling it as well too. So this was a truly evil organization in terms of, again, how they would victimize certain groups, certain firms. And again, this is ransomware as a service. So if you don't know, basically, these people provide the service, somebody hires them, and they skim a little bit of money off the top. Anyways, these leaks consist of, again, their internal systems. Some of them actually consist of educational material, which is rather hilarious to watch, because it's literally filmed as if, like, this was literally designed to be played in some university course. The other thing to look at are a set of email leaks, not just email leaks, but chat log leaks. So if you know you're Russian, or you got a translator on hand, you can read exactly how these criminals communicated with each other as well too. There's so many leaked informations as part of this actual hack collection that one could probably make a pretty good video showcasing the entire timeline of Conti as a group. And I'm joking about their training. I was kind of overselling it. At the end of the day, a lot of their training just comes from free resources, like most people learn from. In this case, it's Pentester Academy, who's basically teaching them how to defend themselves, so to speak. But yeah, they're training materials, leaks, very intriguing stuff if you wanted to look at the mind of a cybercrime gang. What they also provided are building tools for actual ransomwares as well. So if you wanted to build your own ransomware, you could. Not that I recommend you need to do that. That is bad, ladies and gentlemen. But what's interesting is some of the stuff that I was looking at and researching for videos before, I actually finally have access to. So I think what I want to do now is go back to some older virus investigations and maybe retouch them up. Now that I've gotten access to the actual malware that I wanted to truly investigate versus just researching it on the side. Now I get to fully experience it. Okay, so obviously we're not going to make a whole video just exploring this hard drive. What if we take some of the nasty pieces of malware off of this cyber nuke and decide running it on an actual system and just see what kind of damage it can do? Now in this situation, we are not using a virtual machine. We are not even using a computer that I primarily use. What I decided to do was use an older computer that was sitting around. This is the first actual real gaming computer, gaming laptop that I ever actually managed to go get. Now, since then, I've upgraded to a different laptop. This is several years old. We're talking about a laptop that still has like a mechanical hard drive. This is still running on like a very old version of Windows 7. And at the end of the day, it's a laptop that I can actually like be fine if it completely stops working on me. Again, do not run any of this stuff on your basic system, but that should just be expected. The other thing over here is I'm turning off any form of antivirus software, obviously, since we're running malware, especially malware that has, some years attached to it. These are going to be part of an AV definitions file, meaning that, like, because some of this malware is from, like, pre-2010, obviously Windows 7 has an idea of, like, this existing, and it's immediately going to stop it right there and then. So we're going to stop any form of antivirus from stopping any of our efforts to destroy this computer. And also, because if we don't turn off the antivirus, because there are so many pieces of malware sitting inside this system, this can actually blue screen a system entirely because it's literally parsing so many virus samples scanned at any given moment. It's not that it's running the malware, it's just that it's detected so many that it's crashing the system. So there's two reasons to turn off the antivirus. The other thing over here is we are not connecting to the internet. We are not connecting to a local area network. We are not connecting to a router. Shit, we are not even plugging this system into a capture card. I am being very careful here because this video is, again, I'm playing with some malwares that I haven't truly been given the time to properly assess.
So we are keeping everything strictly air-gapped, meaning this is not touching my network, this is not connecting to any system out there. And if you come up with some sci-fi method like Muda, maybe it's sending out a piece of software through the speakers on the system and very inaudible sounds, and your other system is recording it and parsing data. I've read the April Fool's joke. No, that's not happening here. So let's plug this into a system, go over there, and just start running some of these malwares together. Okay, so here it is. We've got an air-gapped computer sitting in the dark, as you could imagine. So I got some Dan OCT style of recording going on over here, a little cozy. But the reason for this is no virtual machine. This is actually a piece of solid hardware, a computer that I once used. And if you want to look at the specifications of it, this is obviously Windows 7. This is not Windows, actually Windows 10, not Windows 11. Windows 7 would be too old. But to show you guys exactly what this computer is, going to the system properties here, 16 gigs of RAM, i7 77, ooh, virus and threat protection. Ooh, your virus, here it is, your security intelligence version is 0000. We're actually going to keep it that way. So we're going to go to the virus and threat protection levels. We're going to go to the protection settings and just turn off all that real-time protection, okay? Just because we do not want anything to stop the amount of malware we're looking into. Also, we don't want the system to crash once it starts parsing like 5 terabytes of malware, okay? So this is a standard system here, and I'm just gonna drag the drive a little closer just so it doesn't fall and completely ruins the hard drive. Paid good money for it. And here we're going to plug in the drive. You can never, and I mean never, plug in a USB the right way the first time. You always have to finagle with it. Here it is. All right. So this drive is totally empty, completely virgin system. We are mounting the drive as we speak. And again, I must stress there is no connectivity to any other device right now. This is, again, you don't want this to be connected. USB device not recognized, or your computer malfunctioned. What is this? There it is. Okay, you just have to restart the drive, I think, because I disconnected it. But here it is. We've got Easy Store. We've got VX Underground. I'm sorry if it's a little tough to read, but we're going to start firing off sample after sample after sample. And we're basically going to kill this computer in front of us. So let's go into the Twitter IOC collection here. And you can see some of these are 7-zip files, which, Jesus Christ, I don't actually have 7-zip. Okay, we're going to fire up a network connection very briefly just to get 7-zip. Probably shouldn't be doing this. Okay, so instead of being completely stupid, I'm just going to get a flash drive here. I got 7-zip on that, just so we can actually use 7-zip. No connecting. Actually, it's ideal that all the network adapters for this device just do not function at all. So, or at least they don't have drivers installed, which is great for now. So let's get the 7-zip working. Get that hitting yes. Install. Close. I hate trackpads, by the way. All right, let's go inside here. Let's actually unpack the first Twitter IOC collection, okay? Because I'm sure it's going to be filled with some nasty, nasty, nasty samples. So, for instance, extracting some of these, you can see that the numbering, like the scheme on them, it's just basically their checksum, and usually you have to actually turn these into binaries. So, for instance, this is FL. We're just going to hit accept on this one, and we've already launched God knows what malware right on the system, ladies and gentlemen. It is not looking pretty. And again, if you start looking into the processes, what is here, right here, is listed as library docs. So again, library docs, if you actually go to like the properties of it, right, this is just some application. It's absolutely filled with like malware, that's for sure, 100%. And what it's going to be doing to the system can be a variety of things, okay? It could be trying to connect to some server, because this is, again, really legacy software. But it is sitting and running on the system, as you can see. It's consuming 30 megabytes of memory. Again, I would have to memory dump this just to show you exactly how bad things really are. But again, we can just keep unpacking more and more of malware. Oh, just drag this checksum right here. Some of these files actually do end up pretty sizable, man. Like, some of these are actually reaching like 77 megabytes. So again, if we open it up, that's some, no, sorry, it's 71 kilobytes. So again, open that shit up. You can see the little circle going. I don't even know what I launched. But again, this is, again, may I remind you, don't actually be doing this. And again, you can see the system is starting to consume more and more memory. So what I'm going to do now is just remove this drive, just because we are going to be launching some ransomware that can actually attack that drive.
And again, I'm not entirely certain that everything on there is totally flagged. But again, we've got other pieces of malware. So for instance, we have Pegasus sitting on the system, which if you don't know what Pegasus malware is, this is literally made by like an Israeli cybercoms company. Like they literally have created this piece of malware that, by the way, was used to, in my understanding, attack journalists and get access to their cellular devices and basically spy on people that were of interest around the world. So these two pieces of malware that you're seeing over here, one of them is hiding itself as WinRAR, okay? For anybody that still uses it, why? Switch to 7-zip. And the other one seems to be hiding itself. File serves as a driver of North Korea power. What? Wait a minute. What the fuck? Look at that. File serves as a driver of North Korean power. This is going to be North Korean power on my system, bitch. It's made by Kim Jong-un. That's the developer. Jesus Christ. No, I'm not even kidding. Hold on. Does it show up on the camera? Wait. Highlight it. Yeah, its company is Kim Jong-un. Hold on, fire that up. So now we've ran the Maze ransomware too. And not Maze ransomware, we just ran Maze malware and oh my... Oh, shit!
Tom. Alert. Tom. Alert. Dear Tom, your files have been encrypted by Maze ransomware.
Fuck!
Attention. You need to buy decryptor in order to restore the files. Tom. Alert. Tom. Alert.
That actually scared me. I'm not
Tom,
even
your
joking.
files
I didn't
have
even
been
expect
encrypted
that.
by Maze ransomware.
Oh my god,
Attention.
I didn't even expect that.
You need to buy decryptor in order to
Oh my
restore the
god, they
files.
actually did it. Kim Jong-un grabbed it, dude. He grabbed my system. Allied Universal Maze ransomware. We hacked your network and now all your files.
have been encrypted by
Okay,
Maze
shut up,
ransomware.
Kim.
Attention.
Hold on, wait, how do I shut him up?
You need to buy decryptor.
All right, Kim is quiet now. What happened? We hacked your network and now all your files, documents, photos, databases, and other important data are safely encrypted with reliable algorithms. You cannot access the files, but don't worry, you have a chance to get it back. It is easy to recover in a few steps. We have also downloaded a lot of data from your network. How, bitch? We ain't connected. Back out of here, Kimmy. Can't do anything. I mean, here, this is a special block with the personal and confidential information. Don't touch it. And again, this is why you want to make sure everything is fucking disconnected. Because what's happened over here is because we ran one piece of ransomware, it's actually grabbed every single one of these files and converted them to MWCB, UHV, TGW file, like these random file patterns that obviously are encrypted files. I can't get anything back. And this is why you don't connect your sample drives over here. And again, here's the thing. Even if I, like that USB drive that I had connected, that alone, again, this exe file is still actually somehow functioning. In fact, a couple of these exe files seem to be functioning. No, Kim, shut up. All right, you know what? Actually, this system is completely junked out right now. So what we got to do is we got to make sure everything in here is re-imaged. This flash drive needs to be like properly sterilized too, because I don't know what this malware did exactly. So this one we're actually going to set aside. We're going to throw this into the dirty bin for now, until of course things are good. And the reason why you want to make sure everything is isolated, because if you decided to plug this into an actual Windows system or like any other system you had, who knows what could be silently stored onto here, right? Not that this specific malware should be that dangerous, but the other ones we ran, yeah, they're causing some real mayhem. Like this system is still doing something in the background. What we can do now is memory dump this. And when we memory dump this, we can actually get a closer idea of what is happening right now.
So I actually unironically ran two of the most dangerous hacking groups malware simultaneously on this system. And one of the actual ransomwares that you saw was from Maze, which Maze has been attributed primarily, from what I understand, to Revil, or a Russian-based hacking group. Again, it's another ransomware as a service operation. So if you think that this had anything to do with North Korea, it might have. You know, they might have went out of their way and like outsource their operation. But one other piece of malware that is exactly attributed to North Korea, for anybody that doesn't know, Lazarus Group actually worked on, again,
a illicit hack that involved a company known as 3CX. I actually covered this in a video as well too, where this was a supply chain attack, and I actually did run a sample. So again, I don't exactly believe that North Korean like nation state hackers have access into my gaming laptop, because the malware is so old, and I'm pretty sure that a lot of their attacks have been shut down. A lot of those servers have been hijacked by law enforcement. But at the end of the day, I did in fact run malware that had some pretty deep ties to the North Korean government. So all the shit talking that I've done to Kim Jong-un, well, now we finally, or his team finally has access to some system that I have sitting in the house, provided all of these chains are working and are currently active, which again, I probably have no reason to believe, but you know, at the end of the day, thank God I follow through every form of security out there. Thank God we are not connecting to the internet. And thank God this system is now going to be tossed into a fucking fire, because I'm not going to trust it ever connecting to an internet service ever again. So one thing you'll know is it's fun to play around with computer viruses. If it's another thing you know is they're not exactly very visual. See, one of the things about virus investigating is it's fun to talk about the back-end effects, the technical stuff, but obviously, when you're blowing things up for people to watch on a screen, there's not many pieces of malware that actually do that. The only ones that I can really think of are old school DOS malwares that were all designed to be flashy. Some of them scared the hell out of users, all right? But there were other pieces of malware very recently, like memes, for instance, which were designed to obviously become this spectacle that YouTubers were going to record and show. Then there are pieces of malware that just attempt to downright scare you with jump scares and whatnot. But of course, beyond all of them, there are also malwares that are, ransomware viruses. Some of them just going beyond out of their way to reflect, like Jigsaw, for instance. That was one interesting piece of ransomware. One other interesting piece was when a ransomware asked me to play PUBG, one of the first virus investigations video we looked at. So obviously, these are some very, intricate pieces of like visual malwares. But most of the stuff that you saw here isn't going to be something that really shows you something dangerous happening to the naked eye. But what's happening in the background of that system is it's most likely trying to attempt to, servers that may not be active anymore, probably running crypto miners. There's definitely cases where the entire drive has been ransomed at the end. And no matter what, the system's usage, it is slowing down. And it's slowing down because there's a lot of unchecked processes silently running in the background, consuming the actual system's, the system's hardware. And you can do this by looking into a memory dump and examining just what type of software is running at any given moment. Memory dumps are very, very important to have. And it's one of the ways that you can check that malware is running on your system. If you don't know what a memory dump is, basically you take a collection of your RAM, you dump it to a drive, you run it through an analysis tool, and it'll show you what processes were running and what they were doing at that given state in time. It's like kind of like an ability, it's a way for you to take a screenshot of your computer's internals and just look at them from a very data-hungry standpoint. But again, it's not like it's malware that's necessarily going to destroy that computer. What I did at the end of the day was just re-image the drive, make sure things were cleaned out, and this system was good to go again. See, malware that initially destroy systems are actually, it's a thing of the past. One of the only pieces of malware that I knew that could actually destroy a system was Chernobyl, or space filler. For those of you who don't know, I made a video on something known as CIH, which was a virus that was discovered in the June of 1998, all the way back in Taiwan. And while this was a piece of malware that was actually proven to destroy the BIOS of a system, which is the basic input-output system, once you destroy a BIOS, that computer is effectively e-waste to that point. So this piece of malware was actually silently shipped into games even, games like Wing Commander, which when they released downloads related to it, even by Origin Systems, the company at the time, those downloads were unfortunately infected. And while CIH does a lot of damage to your system by going into your binaries and just, again, filling space, as the name space filler implies, the end stage would always be the destruction of your BIOS. One thing I found really interesting in this was that the developer, Cheng-Hing Kao, was actually not charged with this, because despite apparently all the damages that had come from CIH, because nobody had come forward with a lawsuit or I guess a complaint, there was just no form formal charging, and it actually, from what I understand in the Chinese legal documents, it actually led to newer or revised legislation, which I didn't know, but apparently that was a part of this new lore. So yeah, computer viruses like CIH, definitely damaging, and definitely changed the course of history somewhat. And then, of course, there's actually good malware. Malware that I actually have no issue with it existing. Obviously, I'm against any form of network intrusion, but if you ever heard of something known as parvolous or anti-ped, which, as you can imagine, is an anti-pedo malware. How this works is basically by opening up a backdoor into a system and effectively examining for potentially illicit images of children, and then sending the information of that targeted system, which potentially has some illicit images, sent to the person who wrote the malware. So again, the way that this was spread was actually going into the shared folders of file sharing services like Kazaa, LimeWire, eDonkey, and so on and so forth. And then, of course, other forms of visual malware were things like Monopoly, which just threw up a Monopoly board and basically threw a jab at Bill Gates, rightfully so. Bill Gates is guilty of Monopoly. There's a whole story around how Microsoft was not a nice company, especially back in that early 90s, early 2000s. Nowadays, they've cooled down a little bit, kind of, but back in the day, they were real bastards. And again, some of the most visual types of worms even were things like email worms, script worms, basically worms back in the day that spread throughout email networks and looked through contact sheets and just mass spread themselves to random people out there. And those were probably the most effective types of malware. Nowadays, the malware that we look at is very much, I guess you could say, financially motivated, and it's designed to be run stealthy, which is a reason why I had that laptop in the first place. Again, the concept of running these things in a virtual machine is not something that is so easy. A lot of the malware that exists in this archive is designed to keep itself evaded from being analyzed in the first place by a security researcher. It's only through really hard and fast cutthroat methods that we can even examine some of the stuff to begin with. But that said though, ladies and gentlemen, one computer was harmed in the making of this video. And while that computer is back and alive, it's went through so much hell that I think it's time to permanently lock it away in a safe, as this archive as well. Now, ladies and gentlemen, would I recommend giving this a buy? If you're a fan of malware and computers like me, then maybe it is worth it. If you got the money to spare, it obviously supports a group of people that are keeping samples alive for new people in this industry, new individuals that want to learn about computer viruses and whatnot, actually having a way for them to freely access this information and learn from it. That said, I think it's definitely a reminder for me to tell you, I am not legally responsible for some crazy shit that you do using any of the samples that I've shown you today. That said, ladies and gentlemen, if you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike it if you dislike it. Thank you, VX Underground, for actually having one of these available, and it was worthwhile supporting you guys. So, this is me, Mutahar, and yeah, I am out.